Hello beauties, how are you all doing? My name is Shaz and I love colorful makeup. Today I'm so excited because we're gonna play with Deep Sea Treasure palette from Clionadh. I promised I'm gonna swatch this palette for you all and we're gonna do that today. This is the beauty that we're talking about. We're going to do swatch of every single color. I'm going to do 2 eye looks at the end. This is going to be one of the eye looks. And then I'm going to tell you my thoughts on the palette and whether I think it's worth $96. If all of that sounds good to you, give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed already. Let's go into the video. This is how the palette came. So it came in this sort of a paper wrapping that looks like a treasure chest, and then you open it like that and you get the palette out. With this palette I also bought 2 of Clionadh's nail lacquer bundles. Let me quickly just show you these nail lacquers. They're hard to hold. These are the nail lacquers. I've talked about them in some of my to buy or not to buys. I have tried them on and worn them. If you're curious about the colors and what my thoughts are, I'm gonna tag those to buy or not to buys where I sort of am wearing these and I talk about them in the description box below. And these are the colors. They look like regular Clionadh stained glass eyeshadows. If you've been following my channel and watching other videos, you probably know I have at least one swatch video of my Clionadh's, I believe Glitter Multichromes is the only video that I have of my Clionadh swatches. But I am preparing more swatches. I'm trying to find a better way to swatch these, and I'm getting some feedback from you all on how to do that because I want to make sure you all can see the shifts on camera. And these, in terms of what they look like, you know, the size of the pans, the embossings, the textures, at least visually, they look more or less the same as other Clionadh shades from the stained glass collection. The only concern that I have, particularly if you're someone like me who are not interested or are not prone to using an all shimmer palette by itself, that means that this palette cannot create a cohesive look for you and you would need to supplement it with another palette, and you would have to purchase that palette also, which then also plays into whether this palette is worth $96, because essentially it would mean you would have to pay over $100 to be able to use this palette at all. The artwork on the top looks very nice. It's something that in my youth I was kind of infatuated about. I was infatuated about deep sea creatures, so, and then also treasures under the sea. So something like this totally takes me back to my youth, which is why I kind of knew I'm going to purchase this. Also, the quality of the packaging is very nice. It has a mirror here, so you don't need to use a separate mirror. You can just use its own mirror if you want to travel with it and so on. It looks pretty compact. On the back, it has the name of the palette and some additional information about the palette. And then on top, it says the name of the palette and that it is from Clionadh Cosmetics, and then the Clionadh logo. Without further ado, let me do swatches. I'm gonna go from this side to the other side. The first one I'm gonna do is this color called Scuba. Let's do this. It's sort of a purple, maybe purple to blue. I don't see a whole lot of shifts, so let's do it. I'm gonna do the swatch on the back of my hand so that you can see some curvature, and hopefully that's gonna help you see all the shifts in the colors. So this is our first color, Scuba. So I think you all are seeing a purple, maybe a little bit of a hint of blue. When I look at it from this angle, I almost see sort of a pinkish color, a little bit of a pinky, maybe coppery. But this is not something that I would say is very, very unique and very unusually different. Okay, beauties, the second color is Shipwreck, which is this beautiful color over here. It looks like a black to red. Now let's see. So I do see some shifts of maybe purple from some angles or bluish hue from some angles. I'm hoping you can see that. From this angle, I see a red, but more like a coppery red. So kind of a red, but kind of goldy also, which is beautiful. Is it Blood Moon from either Terra Moons or Divina? This kind of reminds me of that. If you all want me to do a swatch comparison of some of these, let me know. I can do a separate video for that. This is a beautiful color. And this color I think is worth, I don't know, 10-ish plus dollars. Let me hold this color here. Can you all see this color? I just want to make sure you can see, because this is a beautiful color. Okay friends, the next color is Cephalopod, which is that color. So from this angle I see pink, but I think you all see sort of a greeny, like a lime green color or a light lime green color. I can't say this is the most unique shade I've seen. I have definitely seen it in other brands. It's a little bit flaky. It's beautiful. Oof. Oh my goodness, I was not expecting anything less from Clionadh. I love the brightness and the shiftiness. This color is not super opaque. I can imagine you can use it over darker color, darker base for a different effect. It's a beautiful color. So I think you all are seeing something like a light teal hue on top of like a red or a pink. And from my angle, I see pink. That's what I see. I see like a metallic light pink. There is also, beauties, a green hue from some angles. Can you see that? So there's a blue hue and a green hue. Okay, friends, let's go into Ring of Fire, which is this beautiful color, which is also the color I have on my eyes. This color is a red with sort of a pink hue, sort of an orange hue. From this angle, if I look at it, I see gold. I think you all are seeing pink, which then tells me there is also a little bit of a pink in it. I think you all are seeing a pink there and a little bit of a red, and maybe you can see a little bit of the orange from this angle. From where I'm looking, I see gold and green, to be honest, and a little bit of a pinky red. So when I hold my hand like this at the bottom where there is no light, I see pink, like a very dark metallic pink, and then at the top I see gold. It's a beautiful color, super, super metallic. And also the shade itself is pretty flaky. So you would have to use it on top of a tacky base. And then, beauties, from here you see a metallic pink, I think. Yeah, I see red. This is a beautiful color, which is why I couldn't wait to use it. Okay, friends, going into the next row, we have Kelp Forest. This is super creamy, super, super creamy color. I imagine this is, just from the look, a black base multichrome. Let's quickly show it on my finger and then hand swatch. Yeah, I think you all see the green, obviously. That's the most bold shift you're seeing. And then you see a little bit of a red or a brownish red at the top. From my angle, I actually see purple, like a very, very deep, cool toned purple. This is a beautiful color. You see the red, the green, very nice. And now that we're doing this, can we see the same shift from here? I'm just trying to see if I can capture the purple for you all. And this is my finger. Okay, friends, we're gonna go into Fool's Gold, which is the next color. This is a tiny bit flaky, but not like that one. Honestly, I would say that color is just like a flaky color. I think you can already see a little bit of the flakiness, but this one is sort of a combination of flaky and creamy. This is one of those lime greens to golds to reds. And this is another color that I have on my eyes. You all should be able to see a little bit of lime green, a little bit of red, and then the gold. Trying to see if I can capture any other shift. From my angle, on top of the gold, I see a little bit of a blue haze. So if I hold my hand like this, where there is no light, I see gold, and then at the top, I see sort of a bluish purple. Beautiful color. Let's quickly bring it out here. Okay, you see the gold. Okay, friends, my hands are all covered in glitter. Let's go to the next one, the Bends. This beautiful color, I think you all are seeing a lavender, and from this angle, I see a mint green. So let's do this one. This is also very flaky. I'm already liking this color. It looks like it's a mint green, like light tealy going into a lavender. Okay, friends, I am already digging this color. Look at it. You should be able to see the mint, sort of a light teal to mint green at the edges, and then you see the lavender over here. This is a beautiful color. So when I look at it from this angle, at the top, I see mint green with a layer of gold over it, and then down here where there is no light, I see lavender, or kind of pinky lavender. This is a beautiful color, and it's pretty opaque and very nice. Can't wait to put this on my eyes. I feel like I'm talking about Lucid Lavender being a dupe for everything, and this kind of reminds me of Lucid Lavender from Touch of Glam. By the way, beauties, if I'm not looking at the camera, it's because I'm looking at the viewfinder to make sure things aren't blurry, the colors are showing. You know, if I'm saying you're seeing lavender, you're actually seeing lavender. So I'm looking at the screen instead of looking at the camera. And then quickly bringing this back here. Okay, you kind of see more or less the same thing, kind of pinky lavender from back here. Okay, friends, we're gonna go into the last color, which kind of looks like an iridescent multichrome, the only iridescent multichrome in this palette. And that is this one, Saltwater Pearl. I like that name. It totally goes for the name of an iridescent multichrome. So right now I'm just seeing sort of white, maybe with a hint of green. The color in the pan looks green, like very light green. I think you all are seeing the white shift here, the bright white shift, and then maybe a little bit of a pinkier red at the edges, right? If I do that, you're probably seeing a little bit of a pink. From my angle, I see a hue of blue over the white. So if I do this over here where there's some light, I see blue, but down here I see just sort of silver white. This is a beautiful color. It is sort of a cool tone. It's interesting because in the palette it does look green, but I'm not able to see any greens. Are you all seeing any green? As I mentioned, it's iridescent, so you can see your skin color from under it. So keep that in mind if you're using it. Also, maybe it gives a different effect. Probably it will give a different effect if you're using on top of a dark base or a colorful base. Okay, friends, as you know, this palette does not have any mattes, it's all shimmers. So to complement it, because I'm not an all shimmer person, I'm going to use Mad About Hue from Colourpop. I've actually never used this palette, so it's time. I've had it for quite a few months. I bought it during the Black Friday sale last year. One issue that I have with this palette, Colourpop, if you're listening, is that it does not have a waxy outer packaging. Y'all, I need some waxy outer packaging. I already know this is not gonna look like this the minute I open it, because there's gonna be small powderiness that's gonna go everywhere and it's gonna just look ridiculous. Anyway, Colourpop, if you're listening. And if you all remember in one of my TJ Maxx videos, I talked about Zoeva brushes I purchased from TJ Maxx. We're gonna use some of these. So let's get started. I'm gonna start with this one. And do I have a number for this? 224. It says defined crease. And I'm gonna go into this green Gone Meta, and it's Colourpop, so there's quite a bit of kick up. And as the brush has told us, I'm gonna use it in the crease. I find this brush a little pointy. Yeah, it's a little pointy. I don't have a brush for my outer V area from Zoeva, so I'm going to use a BH brush instead. I'm going to go into Kelp and I'm putting it in my outer V. The Mad About Hue palette, as I expected, has quite a bit of kick up, everybody. I mean, it's a Colourpop palette. I have seen that from Colourpop, but pretty pigmented, as you can see. I'm liking it. I'm gonna pick a fluffy brush and just blend. Okay, beauties, with a pencil brush, this one's from Glam Shop GB13. I'm gonna go into this color, Alley Cat. You see the kick up? And I'm just gonna put it here. Now, beauties, I'm gonna pick the same brush with the darkest color. I'm gonna look up. This is easy to use because I can just do this. And then with the medium brush, just buffing it out. Now, friends, I'm going to use NYX's Glitter Primer. By the way, if you all know of any other good glitter primers, write them below. I'm in the market for new ones, and I wouldn't mind buying some and testing them for you all here in this channel. I'm just going to put this at the center all the way to the inner corner. I'm now going to go into Fool's Gold, this color. And it's going to go at the center here. Clionadh is just super creamy. I love it. Now, beauties, I'm going to do something a little less popular perhaps, and I'm going to go into Ring of Fire. And I'm going to put this closer to my inner corner. Okay, for the other eye, I'm going to use a Zoeva brush. This is number 237. Perhaps this is going to help me not have a lot of fat finger action. This color is pretty flaky, just keep that in mind. You want to use a pretty good glitter glue or something with it. Okay, beauties, my eye look is done. As you can see, I also went and put on my lips. This is an old color I had from e.l.f. I don't know if e.l.f. carries this anymore, but this is one of my favorite colors, which is part of the reason I've been holding on to it. It is called Touch of Nude. I like this because it's a true nude, and it really moisturizes my lips. I should look and see if e.l.f. still carries this color or something similar to it, maybe in a newer, more innovative packaging. But I really like this eye look. I think it turned out pretty well, and as I'm moving the mirror, I can see all the shifts, which is nice. Let me bring the camera closer and show you the eye look from close up. Okay, friends, we're gonna do the second eye look with this beautiful palette from Matte. I have something special. This one, yes, I got it in the mail yesterday and I could not wait. There's gonna be a video coming up with 3 eye look swatches, all that jazz, but I figured, hey, I have it and it has a good bit of mattes, so let's use this one. I'm going to use Base Booster. This is from BH Cosmetics. As you all know, I always try to use different kinds of primers just to test them out at the same time as testing the eyeshadows. I can't believe I've been using this for so long and I did not realize it is a glitter primer. Did you all know this? Why didn't nobody write to me in the comments below? I'm gonna use this brush. I think this is Colourpop E17. And I'm thinking I'm gonna go into this burgundy-ish color called Drew. And I'm starting at the outer V area. I'm gonna take a fluffy brush. I'm gonna go into this color Flannel. And I'm gonna use it to kind of blend this out. Beauties, I'm gonna use this beautiful color up here, and I'm just gonna go into it. You already saw the swatch earlier in the video, and I'm just gonna put it across my lid. Now this is a little bit too dark for me. I usually don't go this dark, particularly in the middle of the day. But, you know, for research purposes, you gotta do what you gotta do, and I'm liking this. I'm very, very much liking this. I'm now gonna use a brush like this. This has a flat head. This is a Japonesque 346. Yeah. I'm gonna go into this one, Cephalopod. I am going to use it down here and then into my inner corner. This color has a shift of purple, if you remember, so I'm hoping that shift of purple will go with the red. And I'm gonna bring it a little bit over the red. It's a very, very flaky color. Now I'm gonna pick a brush like this, and I'm gonna go into this purple one, Moody. Looking up, I'm gonna put it in this outer edge area. I'm now going to take a brush like this. I think this is MAC. Yeah, this is 239S. I'm going to go into detention, and I'm going to just blend this out a little bit. And now that we're doing this, I'm going to get a brush like this. I'm going to go into this color, Sweetheart, and I'm going to blend this outside edge. The eye look is done. Very different from what I thought at the beginning. I was like, I'm gonna do something very romantic and very soft, and this is the opposite of that. This is kind of goth, but I'm liking this. The combination of the two colors, particularly, I put a little bit of the green or the inner corner shade, what was the name, Cephalopod, on top of the other one. And I'm kind of liking that. If I were to go with a lip color with this kind of an eye look, I would go for something super nude. I'm not the type of person who would do very bold looks and very bold lips, because I want to bring attention to the eyes with a look like this, particularly that I have very dark features. Like with these eyebrows, these eyes, you know, the dark hair, all of that, doing a dark lip, it would just not go. So, and obviously like doing a romantic pink lip would definitely not go. So I would probably opt for a nude. But you do what you think works for you. Let me bring the camera closer and show you this eye look from close up. Okay, beauties, the moment of truth. Is this palette worth $96? It is obvious that Clionadh put time and energy into figuring out which shades made sense in a palette this small, so that you don't feel like you're getting a lot of repetitions. You're definitely adding variety. Each individual shade is speaking for itself. It's adding value to the total of the palette. If I had another option, I would buy this palette again. I think this palette is amazingly curated. Of course, I was not expecting any different from Clionadh. If I were to change this palette a little bit, I would remove this color Scuba. This color is the least multichrome and frankly the least exciting of the colors in the palette. I think based on how it's swatched that Clionadh would call this one of their pastel multichromes. This would be another sort of a questionable color for me. Now, I definitely think this palette needed at least one iridescent multichrome. You can't call an all multichrome palette comprehensive without putting any iridescent multichrome in it, and you all know my main complaint about majority of the palettes that I review is that they don't have enough light colors. So yeah, this iridescent multichrome definitely needed to be here. It's just that, is this color really that multichrome? And again, that's me being extremely nitpicky. I'm just trying to figure out what I would improve. All the other color look very nice, and I think they really speak for themselves. You have quite a bit of what in other brands and even in Clionadh's brand itself would sell for, $15+ type of colors in here. You have a flaky up here. You have what I would consider black base multichrome, these two, which Clionadh sells for pretty expensive. But as I mentioned, it's obvious that Clionadh put enough time and energy in curating this palette. Each color speaks for itself. It doesn't look like a dupe. It looks distinct enough that when I look at it, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense for it being in the palette. Of course, it also goes with the general theme of underwater activity. And also that this palette by itself also adds value to my collection. I don't feel like I'm necessarily repeating a lot of the stuff that I have. And also adding some unique shades to Clionadh's brand itself. I'm pretty sure Clionadh does not have this kind of a color or a dupe for it, or this kind of a color or a dupe for it. So do I think this palette is worth $96? That is more than $12 a shade, and as I mentioned, each of these is unique. I think they're unique enough to be $12 a shade. The only one that I don't think is this one. I already mentioned that. I recently reviewed another palette that was $140 from another brand, Adept's Seahorse palette. Interestingly, they both have underwater themes. Interesting. Between the two palettes, I prefer this one, and I tell you why. Now, this has significantly less shades and it's more expensive per shade. But if you watch my review, there are some redundant shades in the other palette. Another thing that is missing in the other palette is darker multichromes. I feel like the brand really stayed in the same sort of color family and theme. It's sort of like a palette of very light multichromes, and not everybody can jive with that. I feel like that was the problem that I had. And when I saw this, I realized what was missing from the other one. Now, what I'm excited about doing is using both of these palettes together, because this has quite a bit of dark colors, dark multichromes, and the other one has quite a bit of light multichrome. So I'm wondering how they would go together. I'm actually curious about that. Let me know what you all think. If I lost this palette today, would I purchase it again? Yes, I would. Okay, beauties, I hope you enjoyed this video. I also hope you learned something. If you learned something, share it with the rest of us in the comments below. Also, let me know what you are thinking about this palette. Is this something you're interested in? Maybe you already have it. Maybe you've used it. Maybe you agree or disagree with some of the things I said. I'm curious to know, so share that also with the rest of us in the comments box below. As always, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it or if you learned something, and consider subscribing to my channel if you're enjoying this type of content. I love you all. Have an amazing day, and until next time, bye.